to the palace without his time in the field. He wouldn't have been ready to. And it seemed like everyone else had somebody, friends to laugh with, family to lean on, a community to belong to. But her phone never rang. No one checked in on her. Day after day, she faced life on her own. She wondered, God, have you forgotten about me? Maybe today you feel like this woman. Maybe you've been overlooked, rejected, or left out. People who should have been there for you walked away. Those you trusted turned their backs. And now you're carrying this loneliness, thinking, what's wrong with me? But I came to tell you, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. And you are not invisible. God sees you, and he is working behind the scenes for you before God takes you to the next level. He often sets you apart. It can feel like isolation, like you've been forgotten, but in reality, God is preparing you. When you look at people in the Bible who were used in mighty ways, they all, ladies is smooth. But the moment storms arise, many of those who once called you friend will disappear. The sooner you understand this, the stronger you will become. You must learn to stand alone, not in bitterness, not in fear, but in strength. Relying too much on others weakens your spirit. You must be your own source of motivation, discipline, and resilience. Look back at your life. Who was there when you had nothing? Who supported you when you failed? If the list is short, that's reality. Loyalty is not spoken. It is proven through hardship. Does this mean you should never trust anyone? No, but it means you must trust wisely. Not everyone who claps for you is cheering for you. Some are just waiting to see you fall. Choose your inner circle carefully. Confide in God before you confide in people. Success in life requires emotional independence. If you need validation, constant companionship, or approval, you become weak. But if you learn to be at peace with yourself, to work in silence, to build without needing an audience, you will become unstoppable. Greatness is lonely. Growth is lonely. Success is lonely. And that's okay, because in solitude, you find yourself. In solitude, you hear God's voice. True friendship is rare. That is a truth that many people learn the hard way. We live in a world where people come and go, where relationships are often built on convenience rather than commitment, and where loyalty is tested not in words but in actions. Many people go through life believing that their circle of friends will always remain the same. They assume that because someone is with them today, they will be there tomorrow. But life has a way of revealing the truth. When everything is going well, when you have success, resources, and something to offer, many will gather around you. They will celebrate with you, laugh with you, and make promises of lifelong friendship. But the moment hardship arrives, when the storms of life shake your foundation, that is when you see the truth. Friendship is not proven in good times. It is tested in adversity. When you are struggling, when you have nothing left to give, that is when you will know who is truly by your side. Look at your life. How many people stood by you when you faced difficulties? When you lost a job, when you went through heartbreak, when your dreams were falling apart? Who stayed? If you can count them on one hand, you are blessed. Because the reality is, most people are not your friends. They are just acquaintances who were there for the good times. The idea of true friendship is often romanticized. We are taught to believe in the concept of unconditional support. But in reality, most relationships are based on self-interest. People are naturally drawn to what benefits them. They will call you their friend as long as they are comfortable, as long as there is something to gain. But if standing by you costs them something, if it requires sacrifice or inconvenience, many will walk away. This is not to say that there are no real friends in the world, but the truth is they are rare. And because they are rare, you must not depend on the illusion that everyone around you is loyal. You must learn to stand on your own. Relying too much on people will only lead to disappointment. Many people struggle with loneliness because they feel they need a constant support system. They fear being alone, so they surround themselves with people who may not even have their best interests at heart. But here is a powerful truth. Being alone does not mean being lonely. In fact, some of the greatest moments of growth come when you learn to be at peace with yourself, when you stop looking for validation from others, when you stop expecting people to fill the void inside you, you will discover a new level of strength. The strongest individuals in history, those who changed the world, understood this. They were not surrounded by large crowds of people cheering them on every day. No, they walked alone many times. They faced rejection, betrayal, and isolation, but they kept moving forward because they understood that their purpose was greater than the need for approval. This is where emotional independence becomes crucial. If you are constantly seeking companionship, constantly needing reassurance, then you will always be vulnerable. People will come and go. Even those you trust the most may disappoint you. But when you learn to be your own foundation, when you develop the mindset that you can stand strong no matter who stays or leaves, you become unshakable. It is also important to recognize that people change. The friend you trust today may not be the same person 5 years from now. Life shapes us all in different ways. Priorities shift, values evolve, and circumstances force people to make choices that may not always include you. That is why attachment is dangerous. When you tie your happiness to the presence of others, you set yourself up for heartbreak. Instead, focus on building yourself in such a way that no matter who walks away, you remain stable. Does this mean you should shut people out completely? No. But it does mean you should be wise about whom you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves access to your mind, your heart, or your energy. Trust must be earned, not freely given. Watch how people treat you when they have nothing to gain. Observe who checks on you when you have nothing to offer. Those are the ones who may truly care, and above all, understand that no human being can fully satisfy the need for deep connection. People will fail you, they will disappoint you, they will change, but there is one relationship that never fails, and that is your relationship with God. While people may leave, God remains. While others may betray, God is faithful. When you build your life on that foundation, you will never feel alone, no matter who walks away. So let go of the illusion that everyone around you is your friend. Accept that true friendship is rare, and that is okay. Learn to enjoy your own company. Build yourself up so that whether people stay or leave, you remain unshaken. Because at the end of the day, the only person who will always be with you is you. And God people act based on self-interest. This is a reality that many struggle to accept. But the sooner you do, the better you will navigate relationships, friendships, and even business. Every person you meet has their own desires, goals, and needs that guide their decisions. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It is simply how human nature works. People prioritize themselves first, and everything they do is filtered through the question, how does this benefit me? From childhood, we are often taught the idea of unconditional love and loyalty. But as we grow, we realize that the world does not operate on such principles. Instead, most relationships are based on mutual benefit. When you provide value to someone, whether through companionship, emotional support, financial help, or status, they will remain close to you. But the moment that value diminishes, the relationship begins to shift. This is why people who suddenly lose wealth, power, or influence often find themselves abandoned by those they once trusted. It is not that people are inherently evil or malicious. They are simply wired to act in their best interest. If standing by you no longer benefits them, they will walk away. If being your friend costs them more than it rewards them, they will reconsider their loyalty. This is why it is dangerous to assume that someone will always be there just because they are with you today. Think about the relationships in your life. How many of them exist because you serve a specific role in the other person's life? Perhaps you are the one who always listens, the one who always helps, the one who provides support when they are in need. But what happens when you are the one in need? What happens when you have nothing to give? The answer is simple. Many of the people around you will disappear, not because they hate you, but because their needs are no longer being met through you. This truth is evident in every area of life. In friendships, people remain close as long as there is something they gain from the relationship. In business, companies form partnerships that last only as long as they are profitable. Even in family relationships, support is often given based on unspoken expectations of reciprocity. The moment those expectations are not met, tension arises. Understanding this should not make you bitter, but it should make you wise. Instead of expecting people to be selfless, recognize that they are simply looking out for their own well-being. This means you must be strategic in your relationships. Instead of giving blindly, observe carefully. Who is there only when they need something? Who disappears when you have nothing to offer? These are the people who see you as a resource, not a true friend. Many people go through life feeling betrayed because they expected loyalty where there was only mutual benefit. They assumed that because someone was kind to them, it meant the person would always be there. But kindness is not proof of loyalty. Many people will be good to you as long as it serves them. The real test of a person's character is how they treat you when you have nothing to give. This is why self-reliance is so important. If you depend too much on others, you will always be at their mercy. If your happiness, confidence, or success is tied to the presence of other people, then you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Instead, focus on building yourself so that whether people stay or leave, you remain strong. When you recognize that people act in their own self-interest, you stop taking things personally. You stop feeling hurt when someone distances themselves because you understand that it was never about you, it was about what they needed. You stop feeling betrayed when a friend moves on because you see that they were in your life for a season, not forever. This does not mean you should become cold or distrustful. It simply means you should be realistic. Expecting people to always put you first will only lead to disappointment. Instead, appreciate the people who prove their loyalty through actions, not just words. Pay attention to who stands by you when times are tough, who supports you without expecting anything in return, and who genuinely cares about your well-being. These are the relationships worth nurturing. Another important lesson is to apply this understanding to yourself. Just as others act in their own best interest, so should you. Do not sacrifice yourself for people who would not do the same for you. Do not stay in relationships where you are only valued for what you provide. Set boundaries and make sure that you are not being used. It is not selfish to protect your time, energy, and resources. It is necessary. People will come and go. Circumstances will change. Relationships will shift. But one thing will always remain the same. Every person is looking out for themselves first. The key is to accept this truth, not as a source of frustration, but as a tool for wisdom. When you understand this, you stop chasing after people who were never meant to stay. You stop expecting loyalty where there is only convenience. You stop giving your all to those who only give you half. Instead, you focus on building a life where you are not dependent on others for your happiness or success. You become strong enough to walk alone if necessary. You learn to value the few who are truly loyal rather than expecting loyalty from everyone. Most importantly, you understand that in a world where people act based on self-interest, the greatest power you can have is to know your own worth and never compromise it for temporary companionship. Loyalty is conditional, no matter how much we want to believe otherwise. People stay loyal as long as their needs, desires, and expectations are being met. The idea that someone will stand by you unconditionally is a comforting thought, but in reality, most relationships are built on an unspoken exchange of benefits. When you provide something that another person values, whether it is emotional support, financial help, companionship, or status, they remain close to you. But the moment that benefit disappears, their loyalty often fades as well. It is easy to assume that those around you will remain by your side through every season of life, but experience teaches otherwise. Pay attention to what happens when you no longer serve the same purpose in someone's life. Friends who once depended on you for guidance may stop calling when they no longer need advice. A partner who once appreciated your emotional support may become distant when they find someone else to confide in. Even family members may start treating you differently when your ability to provide for them changes. These shifts are not always driven by malice or bad intentions. People simply act in ways that align with their self-interest, often without realizing it. The sooner you understand this, the less disappointment you will experience. Many people suffer because they expect loyalty where there is only convenience. They assume that because someone was there for them in good times, they will remain during hardships. But in reality, most relationships are seasonal. People come into your life when it benefits them, and they leave when it no longer does. Holding on to the illusion of permanent loyalty only sets you up for heartache. This is why it is crucial to observe people's actions rather than their words. Many will speak of loyalty, but their behavior will reveal their true intentions. A person who values you only when they need something is not truly loyal. A friend who only checks in when they are struggling but disappears when you need support is not a real friend. A partner who only stays when you are meeting their expectations but pulls away when you face challenges is not committed to you. They are committed to what they receive from you. Understanding that loyalty is conditional does not mean you should become distrustful or cynical. It simply means you should be aware of reality and adjust your expectations accordingly. Instead of blindly trusting everyone, take note of who remains by your side when you have nothing to offer. True loyalty is rare, and when you find it, it should be valued and reciprocated. However, expecting unwavering loyalty from everyone will only lead to disappointment. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that just because they are loyal to others, others will be loyal to them in return. Loyalty is not always mutual. You may give your all to someone who only gives half in return. You may remain dedicated to a friend who would not do the same for you. This is why it is important to recognize when you are in a one-sided relationship. If you find yourself constantly giving while the other person takes without ever offering the same level of commitment, it is a sign that their loyalty is conditional. Many people struggle with this realization because they want to believe that their relationships are built on something deeper than just mutual benefit. They want to think that their friends, partners, and family members will stand by them no matter what. But life has a way of revealing the truth. When hardships come, when circumstances change, when you are no longer able to provide the same things you once did, that is when you will see who truly values you. Instead of fearing this reality, use it to your advantage. Be selective about who you trust. Do not give your loyalty freely to those who have not proven themselves. Pay attention to patterns. Who checks on you without needing anything in return? Who supports you even when it is inconvenient for them? Who remains by your side when times are difficult? These are the people who truly value you, not just what you can offer. It is also important to remember that just as others operate based on self-interest, so should you. If you constantly give to people who do not reciprocate, you will drain yourself emotionally, mentally, and even financially. There is nothing wrong with expecting mutual effort in your relationships. If someone does not value your presence, do not force yourself to remain in their life. Loyalty should be a two-way street. You should never feel obligated to be loyal to someone who would not do the same for you. If a friendship, relationship, or connection only exists because you are the one putting in all the effort, then it is not a real bond. It is simply a transaction where one person benefits while the other loses. Instead of seeking loyalty from everyone, focus on building a strong sense of self. When you are independent and self-sufficient, you do not need to rely on others to feel secure. You do not need to chase people who would leave the moment they no longer benefit from you. You do not need to beg for commitment from those who were never truly invested in the first place. True strength comes from knowing that loyalty is rare and choosing to invest your energy only in those who prove themselves worthy of it. It comes from understanding that people will come and go, but your value does not decrease based on who stays or leaves. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from unnecessary disappointment and focus on what truly matters: your own growth, stability, and well-being. People will leave when it is no longer beneficial for them to stay. This is a hard truth that many struggle to accept, but once you understand it, you will no longer be shocked by the actions of those around you. Every relationship, whether it is friendship, family, or even romantic, is often built on an unspoken agreement of mutual benefit. As long as both parties are gaining something, the relationship remains intact. But the moment one person no longer sees value in maintaining the connection, they will start to pull away. It is easy to believe that people stay in your life because of deep emotional bonds, but in reality, most individuals remain as long as their needs are being met. These needs can vary. Some seek emotional support. Others look for financial stability, social status, or companionship. As long as you fulfill their desires, they stay close. But the moment you stop meeting their expectations, many will gradually or abruptly distance themselves. This is why so many people are surprised when friends disappear during tough times. When you are thriving, when you are offering support, resources, and companionship, it feels like people genuinely care. But when hardships come, when you can no longer give as much, when you are the one who needs support, that is when you see the reality of those around you. Some will stay, but many will leave, not because they hate you, but because they no longer see a reason to be there. It is not about good or bad people. It is about how human nature works. People are inherently self-interested. And while some are capable of deep loyalty, most operate on a transactional level. They are not intentionally deceitful. They are simply wired to prioritize what benefits them. If maintaining a relationship with you becomes too costly, whether emotionally, mentally, or financially, they will start to detach. Understanding this is not meant to make you bitter, it is meant to make you wise. Instead of assuming that every connection is permanent, learn to recognize the signs when people are beginning to drift away. Notice when conversations become less frequent, when enthusiasm fades, when their presence in your life becomes inconsistent. These are signals that they may already be considering an exit. The worst thing you can do is beg people to stay. When someone has decided that you no longer fit into their plans, trying to convince them otherwise will only drain you emotionally. It is better to accept their departure with grace rather than waste your energy trying to hold on to something that is already gone. This does not mean you should stop forming relationships or that you should become cold and distant. It simply means you should be aware of reality and stop placing blind trust in temporary connections. There will be people who stay, but they are the exception, not the rule. The ones who remain through your ups and downs, the ones who are present even when you have nothing to offer. These are the people who truly value you beyond what you can provide. Many people feel betrayed when someone leaves their life, but betrayal only exists where there is expectation. If you expect everyone to stay forever, you will be disappointed. But if you understand that people are with you for as long as it benefits them, you will not take it personally when they leave. Their exit is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their needs and priorities. It is also important to recognize this pattern in your own life. Just as others leave when they no longer benefit, you have likely done the same at some point. There have been moments when you distanced yourself from people because the relationship no longer aligned with your needs or growth. This is a natural process, and it happens to everyone. The key is not to resent those who walk away, but to focus on building a life where you are not dependent on the presence of others for your happiness. When you stop expecting permanence in relationships, you become stronger. You stop seeking validation from those who are temporary. You start investing in yourself, making sure that you are your own source of stability. When people leave, you do not break down because you have already built a foundation that does not rely on anyone else. This mindset allows you to appreciate people while they are in your life without fearing their departure. You enjoy the time you have with them, but you remain aware that it may not last forever. And when they do leave, you let them go without bitterness. You do not chase, you do not beg, you simply move forward. The reality is that people will come and go, and that is okay. Some are meant to be in your life for a short time, teaching you lessons, providing experiences, or simply being part of a phase in your journey. Others will stay longer, but even then, there are no guarantees. The only constant in your life is yourself. And that is where your true focus should be. Instead of placing your energy into holding on to people, place it into becoming someone so strong, so independent, that whether people stay or leave, your path remains steady. Understand that people leaving is not always a loss. It is often just life making space for something new. When someone walks away, it is because their part in your story is over. Accept it, move on, and trust that what is meant for you will always stay. Loyalty is not as common as people believe. Many assume that their friends, family, or close companions will stand by them through every trial, every hardship, and every difficult moment. But life often reveals a different reality. People are loyal only as long as it is convenient for them. The moment loyalty requires sacrifice, effort, or endurance, many will begin to pull away. Most relationships start with promises of unwavering support. People say they will always be there, that they will never leave, that they will stand by you no matter what happens. These words bring comfort, and for a time they seem true, but words are easy to speak, and loyalty is tested not in good times, but in difficult ones. When you are successful, when you have resources, when you have something to offer, loyalty appears abundant. But when you face challenges, when you need help, when you are no longer able to give as much, that is when true loyalty is revealed. People are naturally drawn to those who benefit them in some way. They stay close to those who bring them joy, status, financial gain, or emotional support. As long as they are receiving something, loyalty remains intact, but the moment circumstances change, when things become difficult, when standing by you requires effort, many will quietly distance themselves. They may not openly betray you, but they will slowly disappear, finding excuses, creating distance, and eventually cutting ties. This reality is difficult to accept because it contradicts the ideals of lifelong friendship and unconditional support that many have been taught to believe in. However, understanding this truth allows you to navigate life with wisdom instead of blind trust. It teaches you to observe people's actions rather than their words. Anyone can claim to be loyal when times are good, but true loyalty is proven in the face of adversity. One of the most painful experiences in life is realizing that those you once trusted are no longer there when you need them most. You may find yourself in a situation where you expected support, but instead received silence. The people who once celebrated with you are nowhere to be found in your struggles. This can feel like betrayal, but in reality, it is simply human nature. People prioritize themselves, and when their association with you no longer serves them, they move on. The key to protecting yourself from this disappointment is to stop expecting loyalty from everyone. Instead, pay attention to who remains when you have nothing to offer. These are the individuals who truly care, who see you beyond what you can provide, and who are willing to stay despite the difficulties. They are rare, and because of that, they should be valued. But even with these individuals, never become dependent. Life changes, people change, and circumstances evolve. The only loyalty you can fully rely on is your own. This does not mean you should become distrustful or isolate yourself from others. It simply means that you should be aware of reality. Form connections, appreciate people, and enjoy relationships, but never place your stability in the hands of someone else's loyalty. Instead, build a life where you are strong enough to stand alone if necessary. When you reach a point where you are no longer shocked by people's actions, you become unshakable. You stop expecting people to be there forever. You recognize that some are only meant to be part of your journey for a season, and when their time is up, they will leave. Rather than mourning their departure, you learn to accept it and move forward. This mindset does not make you cold or emotionless. It makes you wise. It allows you to appreciate relationships while they last, but remain prepared for their possible end. It stops you from placing unrealistic expectations on people and instead helps you focus on what you can control: yourself, your growth, and your resilience. Loyalty should never be begged for. If someone must be convinced to stay in your life, their presence is already temporary. True loyalty does not require pleading, manipulation, or fear of loss. It is given freely by those who genuinely value and respect you. When you understand this, you stop chasing after people who have already decided to leave. There is a peace that comes with knowing that you are enough on your own. When you no longer depend on others for validation, support, or stability, you gain the freedom to walk away from those who do not value you. You no longer tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or half-hearted commitment. You set higher standards, and as a result, the people who remain in your life are those who truly deserve to be there. Loyalty is rare, but it is not non-existent. There will be a few who stand by you through everything, who prove themselves over time, who remain when everything else falls apart. But even then, remember that nothing in life is guaranteed. Appreciate them, value them, but never place your entire sense of security in their hands. Your strength must come from within, not from the presence of others. At the end of the day, the only person who will truly always be there for you is yourself. The sooner you accept this, the stronger you become. Stop expecting people to be loyal and instead focus on being loyal to yourself, your goals, your values, and your well-being. When you do this, you no longer live in fear of who stays or who leaves. You become the kind of person who does not need to depend on the loyalty of others because you have already built a foundation that no one can shake. People will always act in their own best interest, no matter how close they seem to be to you. It is human nature to prioritize one's own survival, comfort, and success over anyone else's well-being. This is not a sign of malice or cruelty, but rather a fundamental truth about the way people operate. Everyone is driven by their own needs, desires, and ambitions, and when forced to choose, they will always put themselves first. Understanding this simple yet powerful reality will save you from unnecessary disappointment and pain. Many people enter relationships, friendships, and partnerships with the belief that others will be as committed to them as they are to those individuals. They assume that because they have been loyal, kind, and supportive, they will receive the same in return. But life repeatedly teaches the harsh lesson that this is rarely the case. The moment someone sees an opportunity that benefits them, even if it is at your expense, many will take it without hesitation. It is not because they hate you or want to see you fail. It is simply because their survival and success matter more to them than your well-being. This truth can be difficult to accept, especially for those who believe in loyalty, honor, and deep human connection. But it is far better to accept reality than to live in a false sense of security. When you begin to see the world as it truly is, rather than as you wish it to be, you develop an unshakable mindset. You stop expecting people to go out of their way for you. You stop being shocked when someone betrays you, leaves you behind, or chooses themselves over you. You recognize that this is not personal. It is simply how the world works. Think back to the times when you needed help the most. Were the people you expected to be there truly present? Did they sacrifice their own comfort, their own resources, their own time to help you? Or did they find a reason to step away, to excuse themselves, to avoid getting too involved? Most people will only stand by your side as long as it costs them nothing. The moment your struggles demand effort, time, or sacrifice from them, they will disappear. This does not mean that all people are bad or incapable of caring. It simply means that their primary concern will always be themselves. Even those who love you, those who claim to be your closest friends or family members, have their limits. If helping you means putting themselves at risk, if it means losing something valuable to them, many will hesitate or walk away entirely. That is not a reflection of you. It is just the way the world works. When you begin to accept this truth, you gain power over your own life. You stop waiting for people to save you. You stop hoping that someone will step in to rescue you when things get difficult. Instead, you take full responsibility for your own survival, success, and happiness. You build yourself up in such a way that no one else's support is necessary for you to thrive. You become self-sufficient, mentally strong, and emotionally unshakable. Some people go through life constantly feeling betrayed, hurt, and disappointed because they continue to expect others to act against their own interests. They expect loyalty in a world where self-preservation is the priority. But once you shift your mindset, once you stop expecting people to put you before themselves, you become free. You no longer place your happiness in the hands of others. You no longer feel devastated when people do what is best for them, even behind. This does not mean you must become bitter or distrustful. It simply means wise. It means that while you can enjoy relationships, friendships, and connections, you must never become dependent on them. Never assume that someone will always be there for you, no matter how many times they say they will. Instead, prepare yourself for the possibility that they may leave, change, or prioritize themselves when the time comes. The strongest individuals are not those who have the most friends, the most support, or the most admiration from others. The strongest individuals are those who can stand alone without fear. They are the ones who understand that no one will ever prioritize them above themselves, and as a result, they build a life that does not require the loyalty of others to be successful. Once you embrace this truth, you start living differently. You become less emotionally affected by people's actions. You stop feeling betrayed when someone does what is best for them. You recognize that in the same situation, you too would act in your own best interest. This understanding removes unnecessary emotional pain and helps you navigate life with clarity. Many spend their entire lives chasing loyalty, searching for someone who will put them first. But that is a dangerous illusion. Instead of wasting time looking for people who will always prioritize you, become the person who does not need anyone else's prioritization. Invest in yourself. Build your skills, your mindset, your emotional resilience. When you are self-sufficient, you do not fear losing people because you know you will be fine without them. The truth is, people will always do what benefits them. Sometimes that will align with what benefits you, and for a time you will walk the same path. But when that alignment shifts, when their needs conflict with yours, do not be surprised when they choose themselves. Instead of being hurt, be prepared. Instead of expecting loyalty, expect self-interest. And most importantly, instead of relying on others, rely on yourself. When you understand this, you stop being disappointed in people. You stop feeling let down when they prioritize themselves. Instead, you develop the mindset of complete independence. You walk through life with the understanding that while you may enjoy the company of others, your survival, success, and happiness will never depend on them. You take control of your own destiny, ensuring that no betrayal, no abandonment, and no act of self-interest will ever shake you. People will only be around when it benefits them. This is a reality that most refuse to accept until life forces them to face it. The moment you no longer serve their interests, the moment you stop providing them with something they need, many will leave without hesitation. It is not about who you are, how much you have done for them, or the history you share. It is about what they gain from being in your presence. You may believe that certain friendships, relationships, or bonds are unbreakable, that loyalty and love will always keep people by your side. But life will prove otherwise. The true test of loyalty is not when things are going well, but when you are at your lowest. In those moments when you can offer nothing, when you have nothing left to give, you will see who truly values you and who was only there for what they could take. People attach themselves to others based on what they can receive. It may be money, status, emotional support, or simply the feeling of being associated with someone who makes them feel good. But the moment that benefit disappears, most will begin to fade away. If you are in a position of power, if you have resources, if you are successful, you will find yourself surrounded by people who claim to care. They will laugh at your jokes, agree with your opinions, and act as though they genuinely love you. But do not mistake their presence for loyalty. They are there because you provide something they need. The moment you lose what made you valuable to them, you will see a different side of people. The calls will stop. The invitations will disappear. The same people who once praised you will act as though they barely know you. It is a painful truth, but one that you must accept if you want to move through life with wisdom. If you build your happiness around the presence of others, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You must understand that their presence is conditional, dependent on what you can offer, and subject to change at any moment. Even those who seem the most genuine will act in their own best interest when the time comes. It is human nature. People prioritize their own comfort, success, and well-being. If helping you, standing by your side, or maintaining their relationship with you starts to feel like a burden, they will walk away. They may not say it outright. They may not admit that they are leaving because you no longer benefit them. Instead, they will find reasons, excuses, justifications. They will say they are busy, that life has pulled them in a different direction. But the truth is, if you still provided value, they would make time. This is why you must build yourself in such a way that you do not rely on the presence of others for your happiness, success, or stability. The more independent you become, the less affected you are by the departures of those who were never truly loyal. When you understand that people are temporary, that their loyalty is often tied to their own self-interest, you stop expecting permanence. You begin to appreciate people for what they bring in the moment without the illusion that they will always be there. May go through life feeling betrayed and hurt because they expected people to stay forever. They believed that because they gave their all, others would do the same. But that is not how the world works. People give when it is convenient, when it aligns with their own interests. The moment it no longer serves them, they will distance themselves. If you attach your sense of worth, your confidence, or your happiness to the presence of others, you will always be at their mercy. Instead, you must train yourself to stand alone. Build a life where your stability does not depend on anyone else. Develop your skills, your mindset, and your emotional strength so that you do not feel lost when people leave. The more self-sufficient you become, the less vulnerable you are to the temporary nature of human relationships. When you no longer serve a purpose in someone's life, do not chase them. Do not beg them to stay. Do not waste time wondering why they left. Understand that it is the natural course of things. People will come and go, but the only constant in your life is you. Focus on becoming so strong, so complete within yourself that no departure shakes you. It does not mean you should never trust or care for others. It does not mean you should isolate yourself. It simply means you must be aware. Enjoy relationships for what they are, but never depend on them. Appreciate the people in your life, but never expect them to prioritize you over themselves. Keep your expectations realistic and you will never be disappointed. One of the most powerful things you can do is to stop relying on external validation. Stop seeking loyalty where it does not exist. Stop expecting people to be there unconditionally. The fewer expectations you place on others, the more peace you will have. You will stop feeling hurt by their actions because you will understand that people are always operating in their own best interest. Those who stay by your side through your darkest moments, those who do not leave when you have nothing to offer, those are rare. But even they have limits. Even they, when pushed to a point where it no longer benefits them, may step away. Instead of resenting this, understand it. Instead of fighting it, prepare for it. Be your own source of strength, your own foundation, your own support. When you embrace this truth, you stop fearing loss. You stop being controlled by the actions of others. You realize that no one is obligated to stay, and that is okay. You learn to move forward without resentment, without pain, without attachment. You develop a mindset that is unshakable because you no longer tie your stability to the temporary presence of others. At the end of the day, the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. The sooner you accept this, the stronger you become. The more you build yourself, the less you need from others. And when you reach that point, when you are whole on your own, you become truly free. There will come a time in your life when you realize that no one is truly responsible for you but yourself. People may claim to care, they may promise to be there, but when challenges arise, when life gets difficult, you will see who actually stands by you and who merely used words to make you feel secure. The world is full of individuals who will support you only when it is convenient for them. They will be present when things are going well, when you are successful, when you have something to offer. But the moment you face difficulties, the moment you need them the most, they will disappear. Many people go through life expecting others to save them, to uplift them, to help them when they are struggling. But that expectation often leads to disappointment. The harsh truth is that people prioritize themselves. They have their own struggles, their own responsibilities, their own lives to manage. And when you become too much of a burden, too much of an inconvenience, they will step back. This is not to say that everyone is selfish in a malicious way, but rather that self-preservation is human nature. People will always look out for themselves first. This is why you must become your own strength. If you spend your life depending on others to rescue you, to motivate you, to push you forward, you will constantly find yourself disappointed. You must train yourself to rely on no one but yourself. The moment you take full responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, and your own success, you gain true power. You no longer live in fear of people leaving because you know that their presence was never a guarantee to begin with. The relationships you build, the friendships you cherish, they may seem strong in good times, but the real test comes when you have nothing to offer. When you are at your lowest, when you are struggling, when life has knocked you down, watch who remains. The truth is, most people are only interested in being around you when it serves them. They enjoy your presence when it makes them feel good, when they gain something from being associated with you. But when standing by your side becomes difficult, when it requires true loyalty and sacrifice, most will quietly fade away. You must prepare yourself for this reality so that when it happens, you are not broken by it. It is not a sign that you are unworthy. It is not a reflection of your value. It is simply the way the world works. People move according to their own interests, and expecting anything different will only lead to pain. Instead of feeling betrayed, instead of allowing it to weaken you, use it as motivation. Become so strong that you do not need anyone's validation. Build yourself to a point where you can stand alone, where you are not afraid of being left behind, where you do not depend on anyone for your well-being. The sooner you accept that no one is coming to save you, the sooner you will take control of your own life. Too many people waste years waiting for someone to rescue them, to recognize their pain, to lift them up when they fall. But that moment never comes. The only person who can truly change your life is you. The only person who will always be with you through every hardship, through every failure, through every success is yourself. If you do not become your own savior, no one else will. This does not mean you should isolate yourself. It does not mean you should never trust anyone. It simply means you must be realistic. Enjoy the people in your life, appreciate the moments you share, but never make the mistake of believing that their presence is permanent. The only constant in life is change. People will come and go, circumstances will shift, and if you are not prepared to stand on your own, you will always feel lost when someone leaves. Instead of seeking security in others, seek it within yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to push you forward, learn to push yourself. Instead of depending on external support, develop internal strength. The most powerful individuals are not those who have the most friends, the most connections, or the most support. They are the ones who have built themselves in such a way that they can walk alone if necessary. When you stop expecting others to be your foundation, you free yourself from disappointment. You stop resenting people for leaving because you no longer expect them to stay. You understand that life is unpredictable, that relationships are temporary, and that at the end of the day, the only true source of strength you have is yourself. This mindset does not make you cold, it makes you wise. It allows you to appreciate people for who they are in the moment without clinging to the illusion that they will always be there. The strongest people are not those who never feel lonely, but those who have learned to thrive despite it. They have accepted that self-reliance is the key to freedom. They do not waste time chasing people who have left, nor do they beg for loyalty where it does not exist. They move forward, focused on their goals, knowing that the right people will walk alongside them, but never needing them to survive. Your happiness, your success, your strength, it must come from within. When you learn to stand alone, when you embrace the fact that no one is obligated to be there for you, you become unstoppable. You no longer live in fear of abandonment because you know you will be fine regardless. You no longer base your worth on the presence of others because you have built yourself to be enough. And when you reach that level of independence, when you truly master the art of standing alone, you will find that you no longer feel the need to depend on anyone else. You will have become your own greatest source of strength. People often believe that friendships are built on loyalty, trust, and support. But the reality is that most relationships are conditional. The majority of people in your life are there for a reason. And that reason is rarely selfless. They are there because of what they gain from you. whether it's emotional support, financial benefits, companionship, or simply convenience. When that benefit disappears, many so-called friends will fade away without hesitation. This realization can be painful, but it is also incredibly liberating. Once you understand that no one is truly obligated to be in your life, you stop expecting unconditional loyalty from others. Instead, you learn to rely on yourself. True independence comes when you accept that you are your own greatest ally. The world is filled with people who will say they care about you, who will promise to always be there, but words are easy. Actions reveal the truth. Watch how people treat you when you have nothing to offer them. Watch who remains when you are struggling, when you are broken, when you are at your lowest. It is during those times that people's true nature is exposed. Some may stay, but many will not. And that is the harsh reality of life. People are naturally self-interested. They have their own lives to worry about, their own struggles, their own desires. You may think that someone is a true friend, but if their priorities change, if they no longer benefit from being in your life, their loyalty may disappear. This is not necessarily a sign of malice. It is simply how human nature operates. People move toward what serves them and move away from what doesn't. Once you understand this, you stop expecting anything different. You stop relying on others to complete you. You stop depending on external relationships for your sense of worth. This is why self-reliance is one of the most important skills you can develop. When you learn to depend on yourself, you stop fearing abandonment. You stop being afraid of losing people because you know that you will be fine regardless. You become your own source of strength, your own source of motivation. The most powerful individuals in the world are not those who have the most friends, but those who have built themselves to the point where they do not need anyone to survive.
Deine Sonnenbrille für ab in den Park und das erste Eis in der Hand. Für endlich am Meer oder einfach mal nichts tun. Entdecke Sonnenbrillen für dein Sommergefühl. Ab 18,50 € in deiner Stärke. Deine Brille Vielmann.
Schwarzkopf Brillanz mit Bonding Haptic System für bis zu 90% weniger Haarbruch. Schwarzkopf Brillanz.